Joining us next, a man that needs no introduction. You've seen him entertain us on the big screen for years. And his latest project, you just saw a clip of Patriots Day, based on the Boston Marathon bombings, is out everywhere January 13th. We welcome back actor, producer Mark Wahlberg, friend of the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Good to see you, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
We appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
See you, brother.
We're going to talk about Patriots Day in just a moment, but right now I need to talk about your New England Patriots, because you came in here feeling pretty confident about your squad heading to Houston.
Stuff about the Giants.
Real stuff. Who scares you the most as a Patriots fan?
Well, look, I mean, in the NFC, obviously the Cowboys look good, but I think they'll just be happy to be there, right? I don't think, you know, like Cam Newton last year, I think they're going to get distracted by all the hoopla. I think Ben Roethlisberger is always a problem. So hopefully the Dolphins will do our dirty work there.
They won't. Go ahead.
Kansas
Wishful
City is tough, but you know what? You got to beat to win it all. You got to beat the best. Aaron Rodgers, you know, you never know. They're hot right now. The only people that aren't going to make it, that barely squeaked into the playoffs, for the Giants, right? And
They seem to
we're not going to get another fluke play.
if I remember correctly.
Please, let Ted
Record's not
3
so
have
hot
a
against
scene.
them.
Let Ted 3 have a scene where in your nightmares Eli's beating you guys for the third time. Please.
How are you not scared of the Giants?
You know what? Because you can't have 3 fluke plays. Can you? Two is more than enough.
I see what you're doing there.
No,
Just fluke plays, that's all it was.
What I'm concerned about with you is that the first words out of your mouth were the Cowboys. It sounds like you believe that it's going to be your Patriots against the Dallas Cowboys. Is that what I'm hearing?
I do think so, yes. Who do you like coming out of the NFC?
Anybody but the Cowboys. Anybody but the Cowboys.
Maybe the winner of the Packers and Giants.
Giants, definitely so. Seattle I was high on, but I don't know what's been going on with them.
No Earl Thomas.
No, Giants are not going to make it.
Now listen, you called Tyree a fluke play, fine. That was a lucky play in many ways. Even the fact that the ball didn't touch a blade of grass was unlikely. You can't call the Manningham pass a fluke play.
No, you know what? I'll give him that. But we are, you know, we're 2 plays away from 6, right? And I think Tom has 7 in his future. That's all I'm saying. That's my prediction.
What has this year been like for you, watching the whole Deflategate scandal unfold, and then ultimately Tom Brady ultimately has to concede to giving up 4 games to start this season? As a Patriots fan, as a native of Massachusetts, talk to me about what it was like for you watching him go through that. What kind of emotions were you feeling?
Well, obviously, as a friend and a fan, it was tough. But, you know, he took it like a man. You know, it is what it is. I think, obviously, considering you look at other punishments that have been handed down over the past few years for much more serious offenses, not that he was guilty of it anyway. But you know, to come out of there 3-1 was a fantastic thing. We would have been happy to come out of there 1-3. You know, playing the Cardinals opening game, and you know, to win that game and to have Garoppolo step up the way he did.
What do you do about Garoppolo?
Obviously, we got to keep him. Pay him.
Don't trade him for a first-round pick or anything like that?
You know what? I wouldn't say that, obviously, because whatever Belichick does, you know, when you watch somebody go, you're like, oh my God, how is he letting him go? But then he goes and picks somebody up, and somebody else steps up. So,
that's the thing. If Belichick moves, as soon as Belichick wants to trade a guy, it negatively affects his trade value, because people are like, why does Belichick want to get rid of him?
There's an issue, exactly.
One of the other things we're debating about, I got Tom Brady as my MVP, man. 11-1. I don't care about the fact that he missed the first 4 games, the fact that he had that level of adversity, still coming in there, inspired, ticked off the whole bit. I think that he's been absolutely phenomenal. Even though Matt Ryan should be mentioned, Ezekiel Elliott should be mentioned, Aaron Rodgers is his guy. I think he's a bad man, but Tom Brady, with what he's endured and the fact that he still finished 11-1 is enough. His attitude is, you miss 25% of the season, it automatically disqualifies you. What do you say?
I don't want to hear what I agree with you.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Is Boston awesome? I mean, like, you know, what kind of a question is that? Who's your audience here?
No, look, Matt Ryan is in the discussion. I think Ezekiel Elliott certainly deserves Rookie of the Year, and his quarterback is in that discussion as well. But, you know, I think when you're talking about MVP, I think it's, between Matt Ryan, Brady, and Aaron Rodgers.
I got you.
Mark, I don't know if you've heard Max's take, but he thinks your quarterback, Tom Brady,
wait till you hear this,
is going to fall off a cliff. So where are we right now?
Year.
About 14 months?
We're about 13 months away.
Yeah, right. He's going to fall off a cliff.
Let me tell him my theory.
I got you.
Every quarterback in the history of the NFL who's been great at an old age, has cruised along at a very high altitude. They're going to do this forever, and then one day, they're just gone. Like Peyton Manning, oh my God, he can't play anymore. Same thing with Brett Favre when it looked like they could go on forever. I say the same thing will happen to Tom Brady before his 41st birthday, because that is the cutoff age. What do you say to that?
I think, you know what, we will prove that, again, you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to Tom Brady. You know, it's one of those things where he's getting better. He's smart. You know, Manning, the neck surgery, I think, was a major issue. You could see his arm strength deteriorating, right? I mean, he was throwing ducks. Give me my shotgun, I could have picked it off from where I was sitting. And Favre, you know, look, once he was out of Green Bay, I mean, he was vulnerable. You know, when he was in Minnesota, I mean, he was getting hit a lot. And Tom just seems to be getting stronger, and you know, he's so disciplined with everything that he does. I think he's, you know, you can't play forever, but I think a good 4 or 5 more years.
4 or 5 more years?
Yeah.
I got at least 3. I got at least 3.
Again, I agree with you.
There we go. Of course.
So,
you know what time
Max
it is. Come on now. Here's the deal. Let me transition to a more serious note, because this movie on you know, the Boston Marathon bombing, I want you to talk to me about what it was like for you to make this movie. And you know, you talked about how, you know, it was tough for you. Could you explain to our listeners what that was like for you?
There was obviously an enormous amount of pressure. When they originally came to me with the idea, I said, no, I don't want to be a part of the movie. But there were 3 movies at the time being discussed. And so they were going to make the movies regardless. And I felt like if in the wrong hands, this could be, people will be exploited, the violence could be gratuitous, and people just wouldn't have it handled with the respect and sensitivity that it deserved. And so I said, you know what, I am going to do it, and I'm going to make sure that we take care of everybody. And I was so inspired by how my city responded to this act of terror, and there was so much hope and that came out of it, and inspiration, that I felt like, considering that these things continue to happen, you look at what just happened in Istanbul and what happened in Cairo. So you know, these things are happening all over the world, and the only way to combat this is with love and people coming together. And that message of love is important and needs to be heard everywhere as soon as possible and as often as possible.
How much of that reluctance to do it was based on the idea that you just don't want to put yourself through that? Because to prepare for it and actually make that, you have to get up close and really get into what happened.
Yeah, and well, you know what? But the great thing about it was there was a huge sense of relief from my community when they realized that I was doing it, because then they knew they could hold me accountable and they could come and communicate with me directly. So as I sat down with the victims' families and survivors, they told me first of all, they wanted to know what our intentions were. And once they knew that, then they knew that they could make sure that we would protect them. And you're reliving some of these people, you know, it's the worst day of their lives. So it's never going to be something that they love, but to know that it's being handled with the respect and sensitivity that it deserves, that's comforting.
Did it take you going to those people to convince them to open up and be willing to assist you? Because sometimes, you know, you got other producers, you got other folks, you know, that work with the process. Did it take you being able to deliver that message to convince them?
Absolutely. And they, you know, they said, okay, make sure you get it right, show them who we are, and make us proud, show them what Boston Strong means. And they said, but we will also hold you accountable. And I just held everybody else to that same standard. But, you know, Peter Berg, who's my partner, we made 3 movies about real life events. I know how much he cares. And even though he's a Giants fan, you know what, he cares, and you know, he was going to respect our community and get it right. And so,
how much did that moment, I mean, obviously it's symbolic more so than anything else, but when Big Papi David Ortiz was at Fenway Park, and you know, everybody, you know, we play that sound over and over again, this is our effing city. How inspirational was that to natives there, that, you know, to hear him, you know, speak the way that he spoke about that?
Well, Papi has brought so much joy to Boston, and you know, he's obviously immortalized as one of the greats of all time. And he was in Boston when it happened because he was hurt, and the team had just gone on the first road trip to Cleveland, and he was actually in the city when the lockdown happened. So he was deeply affected by it, and you know, it was very personal to him. So we have Papi in the movie, and you know, we wanted to kind of see what he was feeling before he went out onto the field. And there was a scene that actually Pete cut out of the movie, but where I was talking about my dad he was supposed to have died from prostate cancer, but he lived another 5 years just to see the Red Sox win the World Series, so he could die a happy man. And Papi made that happen. And then I started screaming that he was better than Ted Williams, he's better than you know, Kari Skrimsky, he's better than Carlton Fisk and Freddie Lynn, and that right on down the line. And Pete said, well, that might be a little bit much, you know, because it turned into that moment. But, you know, he's such a special guy, and, you know, it meant so much to him.
Are you so happy you did the movie now?
Yes, yes. To be able to show the families, victims, law enforcement, first responders, to show them the movie and to see how proud they are of how their city responded. Because Boston, you know, was always a great sports town. So you always had that. Whenever I left Boston, I could always brag about my sports. But now I can brag about my people. I can brag about my community coming together.
And the resilience.
Men and women coming together, showing that strength and resilience and courage. And it's really, it redefined the term.
So it does, I mean, it does seem that when you, even the Mickey Ward movie, for example, that's about a Massachusetts guy. It's right in the area. And from listening to you talk about it, it seems like that does give it a kind of special, imbues it with a special kind of feeling for you when you do something about a real person or people from where you're from.
Of course, yeah. And, you know, Pete and I have talked about it. You know, with Lone Survivor, it's one thing. You got Navy SEALs. I mean, a good day for them is to get into a big gunfight. That's what they'd like to do. And with oil rig workers, you know, it's one of the more dangerous occupations in the world. They know the risks. These are families, women, children, going to root their loved ones on in a road race. And it's for something horrific like this to happen, but to see how people responded, it's very inspiring. And people leave the theater with this kind of very emotional but kind of uplifting feeling, and it's a special thing, and we need that in this day and age.
The whole country needs it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you making the movie. Glad you made that choice.
No
And I
question.
hope it brings a lot of hope and peace to a lot of people. You got
Before I let
yeah.
you get on out of here, going back to football, with everything we've just been talking about, what will it be like for y'all after everything you've been through this year with these Patriots if they pulled this off and won the Super Bowl? I think that people, what's the bigger motivation? I think that people actually want to see Goodell have to hand over the trophy. I think that's a big moment for y'all.
It will be. It will be. You know, it's one of those things where we got a defense this year. You know, we got a team that's playing for pride and a whole other level of inspiration. And I just, you know.
Tell the truth, you were depressed when Gronk went down.
I was. I interviewed him as we were promoting the movie in Boston. And I've been to his house. I've hung out with him. I know. I said, whatever you do, don't end up wrestling in a nightclub in Vegas before you're back. But you know what? He may be back for the Super Bowl.
I get the feeling that that's your favorite perk about being a movie star. Now, you've been a star in several industries, but that you get to hang out with Gronk and Tom Brady. Is that the best part?
Gronk seems like a good time.
The best part is being friends with Mr. Kraft, because he's a great man.
Yes,
he's such
he
a
is.
kind, generous, loving human being. And you know what? He's going to put me and my sons right there with him, and that's the best part.
Believe it or not, on a personal note, Mr. Kraft has communicated with me on several occasions. He is a wonderful man.
He is. His kindness, generosity.
He is the standard, no question.
Yeah.
And the standard as an owner
Columbia
as well.
grad, right?
Yeah.
The Lions.
And he overpaid $50-something million to keep the Patriots in New England.
Oh.
Yeah, when he bought the team.
Yeah.
Smart investment.
All right, this Boston love fest.
I know.
It's enough already.
It's over.
Well, you know what? This is not about Boston now. The
That's right.
Patriots are the nation.
Oh, the American team.
You know, you do realize that,
Stephen A.
that's something
actually
I'm on the
likes
record
that.
saying. I've always said, I've on the record, I
Yeah.
said this years ago, the New England Patriots should be America's team. It's an
you know
absolute
what?
disgrace.
Okay.
Listen, I'm a New
Hey, we
Yorker.
got a
It makes
we got
me
a
sick to
commercial
my
break
stomach
we need to get
to
into?
say this. You know that. Come on now. But I'm honest. The New England Patriots, is America not the greatest country in the world? I mean, when we talk about greatness, how in God's name are we talking about the Cowboys? I mean, how is
I'm
it?
Stephen
I mean,
A. Smith, okay?
We got to pick
I'm Stephen
one or
A.
the
Smith.
other.
Hey,
It should
Mark
be the
Wahlberg.
Patriots.
Hey,
And
Mark
I told
Wahlberg.
Mr. Kraft that. I told Mr. Kraft
Is
that.
Boston a great place? That's some
I'm just
interviewing
telling
skills you
Yeah,
got.
you call it whatever you want. I'm just being honest. I swear to you. I mean, listen, with and without
You are
him
the
here,
greatest
I have
sportscaster
said this.
in the history
The
of the
two
game.
of
Feel
you.
better?
That's what I'm saying.
Get a room.
Stephen
The
A.
truth is
Smith,
the
baby.
truth.
Come on.
The truth is the truth, man.
Personal form.
Listen,
Any way you can bash the
I
Cowboys.
would gladly take the Patriots as America's team any day over the Cowboys. At least they live up and establish a standard as opposed to me being mediocre and just sitting there stealing headlines.
Yes.
I mean, the Dallas Cowboys are a joke. They're not in the same class as the New England Patriots. And you know what? I'm going to stop right there because I'm just getting upset. I'm getting upset.
If you come back around with Denzel, ring the bell. We can continue this discussion.
We can do
It's
that.
hard for me to get mad at him because he's a
We can do
good
that.
man.
We can do that.
But it's hard. But you two are making it hard for me right now.
You know, we'll
Well,
see.
thanks for indulging us.
Them or the
Appreciate it.
Cowboys? Who you picking as America's team? Them or the
If that's
Cowboys?
the choice,
Yes. Of course the Patriots. Thank you. That's all I'm saying. Hell with the Cowboys. Hell with them.
The answer's the Packers.
Good seeing you, man.
Thank
Good
you,
seeing
guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being here. We appreciate the
Them
time.
damn Cowboys.
Looking forward to the movie. Check it out. Patriots Day, January 13th. It is out nationwide.